If you commonly find yourself hunting in cold weather but struggle to keep yourself warm, this video should help. First, I'll talk about why a layering system is important, and then I'll show you how I dress to make sure that I'm warm regardless of what the weather throws at me. Oftentimes, the coldest temps lead to the best hunting opportunities, so it's critical that you can stay in the field for a long period of time even when it's cold. If you like videos like this, make sure to smash that like button, but let's jump right in. At a high level, the purpose of a layering system is thermal regulation and sweat control. If you can minimize the amount you sweat heading into your hunting spot, you're gonna stay a lot warmer, a lot longer into the hunt. The worst thing you can do is overdress, get super sweaty heading into hunt, and then try to sit for a long period of time when it's cold out. It's basically inevitable that you're gonna get cold at that point. By layering, you're able to control how warm you are without overheating. If you're a mobile hunter like me, or somebody that hang and hunts, you're likely carrying in more gear with you and potentially walking further, in addition to exerting more effort actually setting up in your stand or saddle. In instances like that, I like to wear as little as possible hiking into my spot, and I bring all my extra layers strapped to the back of my backpack. Once I'm completely set up in the tree, only then will I go ahead and add my additional outer layers after my body has returned to a normal body temp. Again, staying as dry as possible and minimize sweating is gonna help you stay a lot warmer when it's super cold out. If I do happen to be hunting a preset tree stand somewhere on private land, depending on how long my walk is, I may be willing to wear a little bit heavier layers hiking into my spot, but in no circumstances am I gonna wear all of my outer layers all the way from the truck to the tree. All of these principles still stand even when it's warmer earlier in the season. I just adjust the layers that I'm wearing to accommodate that time of the season. So jumping into the actual layers that I'd be wearing, if it's really cold, I'm always starting with a base layer. And your base layers are just a next to skin layer that are designed to wick moisture away from your body and also help retain body heat. And Numa has two different types of base layers. This is their merino wool top, and then I have the merino wool bottoms underneath these pants. And they also have a synthetic blend. Both sets are equipped with Polygiene technology, which helps eliminate odor-causing bacteria. Found that they're both equally effective in wicking moisture away from your body. The next piece that I would add right on top of my base layers is my heated core vest. This is a heated vest with a rechargeable battery pack, and I'll touch on this a little bit later in the video. Whether I'm hunting private land or public land, I'm generally hiking in with just my base layers and some type of mid layer, never my warm outer layers. My go-to Numa pieces are the Pursuit pant. It's a 4-way stretch material. It allows for a lot of movement without feeling restricted. I found it to be a great weight pant where it's warm enough that it's going to keep you from being freezing on those frigid mornings, but they're light enough that you're not going to sweat a bunch walking into your spot. And up top I have the Gunnison Merino hoodie. And this is an awesome piece. I wear it almost the entire season. It's a piece that you can wear as your outer layer earlier in the season, and then as it starts to get colder, it becomes that mid-weight layer that you can continue to add pieces onto, which we'll get to in a minute. And one thing I should have added about the heated vest, that I am not turning that on until I'm 100% set and my body temperature has returned to normal levels. If I don't need to use the heated vest, I don't turn it on. Now, if it's super cold, I'll sometimes add a quarter zip fleece on top of this just as I hike into my spot. And sometimes I'll end up wearing just that if it's not as cold as I anticipated. But that's the beautiful thing about having a system, is you can add or subtract pieces while you're in the field to accommodate whatever conditions you're dealing with. Once I've arrived at the tree I plan to hunt, a lot of times I'll then add my bottom outer layers just because it's easier than doing up in the tree. It is possible to add and subtract layers while you're wearing the saddle. I do it all the time, but I do oftentimes just put those on at the tree. Now, once I am 100% set up in the tree, including having my bow pulled up and an arrow nocked, I let my body return to a normal body temperature. Only then will I add my coat, just to eliminate any extra chance of sweating because my body temp is still higher than normal. The temperature outside is gonna be what dictates what outer layers I'm wearing. If it's 30 degrees to 50 degrees, I'm probably gonna be wearing this, which is the Ventus set, and I'm gonna adjust my under layers accordingly to support whatever temperature it is. But this is an awesome bow hunting set. It's windproof, so it's gonna cut out any wind. But any colder than 30 degrees, I'm gonna be wearing the High Point suit. That set's gonna get you down to just about as cold as it gets in the whitetails range. I'm a firm believer that one of the best times to catch a cruising buck is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I've only killed one midday cruiser, but I've seen it enough times to have confidence to sit from sunup to sundown. A lot of times in November, it's really, really cold first thing in the morning and last thing at night, but it warms up dramatically in the middle of the day. Instead of sweating your butt off when it goes from 15 degrees first thing in the morning to 50 degrees at lunchtime, you're able to take layers off, subtract layers as the temperatures fluctuate, and then add additional layers back on when the temp drops in the evenings. The only thing that I would change about this system is if it's raining or sleeting. If it's full-blown snowing, I'm rocking the High Point set, but if the temperature is just a touch warmer and it's wet out, then I'm wearing the Torrent set, which I'm not gonna put on today. But the Torrent set is 100% waterproof. It's still insulated, so it's gonna keep you warm. And unlike most 100% waterproof suits out there, it's relatively quiet, so you can still get away bow hunting wearing the Torrent set, and it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. One of the other things that makes an enormous difference is the High Point neck gaiter. You can see on the inside, it's got this really thick fleece. It's gonna stop any unwanted drafts from hitting your face or your neck, and you can hike this thing up all the way to where basically only your eyes are exposed, and when it's really cold and windy, it's gonna make a big difference. The High Point hand muff is something that I also take with me when it's anytime below 50 degrees probably. I put a bunch of hot hands in there, and then you pair that with a flip top mitt, which allows you to cover up all of your fingers and your thumb, and then has a magnetic opening, but you're still able to fit your mittens into the hand warmer. But that's gonna make a huge difference and make sure your fingers have the dexterity to squeeze a trigger or to clip on a release and shoot a bow. The Ventus beanie is also my preferred hat of choice. It's a little bit lighter than the High Point one, but it's still windproof and keeps you warm. And then I'll sometimes flip up an ear, like if I think I hear something from over that way, I'll flip up an ear just so I can hear a little bit better. If I hear over there, I'll flip the ear up like that. And there's also the High Point beanie, which has that same really thick fleece. And man, is this thing warm. Another thing that I've found makes a massive difference is these Arctic Shield boot covers. It doesn't seem like it would help that much, but I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so tall and blood's got to circulate such a long ways, but my toes get cold basically no matter what boots or socks that I'm wearing, even if I change my socks when I get to my tree to make sure they're not wet with sweat. But if you drop a couple heat packs in these and put them over your boots, you just unzip them on the back, slide them over your boots, zip them up. It makes an enormous difference keeping your toes warm. And what I've found is the thing that nags at you the most and gets you start thinking about heading in to warm up is usually your feet getting cold. So these Arctic Shield boot covers are super clutch, and I'll link to these down below in the description if you guys want to check them out. So the trouble with hunting cold weather is once your body temp dips below normal, it's really hard to get that back. And the things that I've found have helped that the most is finding some type of external heat source. So for your hands, it's those heat packs in that muff. But this heated vest, you can hold this down. It's gonna turn on, and there's different levels of heat. But this is gonna essentially heat up all of my internal organs. This is where you need the warmth, because otherwise it's pulling the blood flow away from your extremities. That's why your toes get cold and your fingers get cold. But by doing this, it's gonna make sure all the important stuff is staying warm, and it's gonna make a huge difference trying to sit longer into the day. The other thing that I found that helps immensely is having some type of hot liquid or hot food with you. A lot of times, even if it's just a couple hour sit, if it's really, really cold, I'll bring a thermos full of hot chocolate or ramen noodles and soup. But I like to have something that I can warm myself up from the inside out. When I'm doing those all day sits when it's really, really cold, I play it like a game. Every hour on the hour, every 2 hours, I treat myself with some of that hot liquid or hot food to warm myself up from the inside out. All of these things makes a massive difference when you're hunting when it's really, really cold. This setup has done extremely well for me all across the country, and if you want to check out any of this Numa gear, you can get 20% off on their website using the code NSO20. But one thing I want to ask you guys for is if you have tips and tricks on how to stay warm in cold conditions, drop those down below in the comments. You never know who you might help out. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.